So the first thing we do is we pull out the big things. So can you grab hold of that? And can you turn it upside down? So we pull out the big bits of rubbish that people should not have flushed down the toilet. What do you see?
It's not a lot. It's a good.
Yeah, a little earbud, piece of some baby wipes hiding underneath there. I'll give it a bit of a shake. Oh, it's hidden inside there.
Seeds of some sort.
Yeah, I've got little rocks. Oh, can you start to see it coming out now?
Yeah.
Dead fish, if people have flushed their dead fish down the toilet. Don't worry, he's just a toy.
I know.
So we pull out all those big things. Any bits of sand and rock that are in there, because they're so heavy, they sink to the bottom. You have that one? And so we can pull those out too. The next step is to get rid of the organic material. So by that I mean poo, bits of veggie scraps that maybe went down the kitchen sink, things like that. So we pump it into these big tanks and we let the stuff sink to the bottom. So if you look inside here, all that glitter, it floats around a little bit, but slowly starts to sink its way down to the bottom. And so we have a layer of brown stuff on the bottom there. So once that has sunk down to the bottom, we take the clean water on top and we just move that across. I'm actually doing it backwards because I forgot to reset this before we go. So now I've got all the... So it swirls around again, and over time the glitter sinks down to the bottom again. So we do it twice, just to make sure we get rid of all the poo and stuff inside. That water that we take from there then is clean enough that we could send it out into the ocean. But that seems like a bit of a waste. We have all this water just sitting there. We want to try and use that for other things. So instead of sending it to the ocean, we're trying to recycle that and use it for other things. So we already can recycle it to use it to water ovals and sports grounds, or maybe to water trees on tree farms, used for businesses that make stuff and they need water to run their machines. Our next stage though is to try and clean it to make it clean enough to drink. That's alright. So the water as it comes out, it contains water molecules, that's our little blue beads. It contains salt molecules and other things dissolved in there, that's our white. And it might have little gems in there too still, so that's our big yellow ones. So I'm going to turn that up this way. Can you give this a big shake? That's the way. Shake, shake, shake. Here's another one. Shake this one. Same thing. As we're shaking it, things are getting separated out because they're different sizes. So the biggest things, the bacteria and the viruses, they get pulled out by ultrafiltration. Thank you very much. The salts, they get separated here through what's called reverse osmosis. And what we get left with at the bottom is just water and nothing else. So there's nothing else in there, nothing else gross in there. We've pulled out all the rubbish, the poos, the germs, everything else. We're just left with pure water now. So that now is clean enough to drink. We also shine bright UV lights on it just to make sure. And we test the water at each of those stages to make sure only the right stuff gets through. So we could drink that water now, but some people still don't like that idea. So instead of putting it straight into people's pipes and sending it out to people's homes, we pump it underneath the ground. So underneath our ground we have areas called aquifers. So rocks where there's lots of water hidden in between the little bits of sand and rock underneath the ground. When it rains, the water flows down, fills up those gaps, and when the water table gets high enough we even get lakes and wetlands. Then we want to pump that water out from the ground. Can you help me squeeze this one here? So we already pump water out from the ground by pumping it up these big sets of pipes here and out of the ground, and we use that for drinking. So almost half of our drinking water, half the water coming out of your taps, is coming from underneath the ground. Now as we pump that out from the ground, what happened to our wetlands? It's gone, it's dried up. So we need to be careful not to take too much out from the ground. By pumping this fresh water under the ground, it means we can take more out of the ground again, and we don't end up causing our wetlands and things to dry up too much. So that's what's happening with some of the water that goes down your toilets. So we already cleaned it up. Here in Canning, most of your water will be going to our Woodman Point treatment plant and then going out into the ocean. But in the northern suburbs, they've just built one of these plants to turn it into drinking water. And it'll go underneath the ground, sit under the ground for about 20 years or so before it comes back out again. and then we'll be drinking it. And by that time, maybe we will have started doing this at a few more of our treatment plants, and
Thank you so much.
cleaning this up too.